What do Ahura Mazda and Ahriman mean in Zoroaster's teachings? Are Zoroastrians followers of a duality-based doctrine, as they say about them?
In the Gathas, Zoroaster's own words, we find no trace of Ahriman in the sense of devil or Satan, who oppose God and heavenly deeds. Devil and Satan are invented by Semitic religions. Ahriman is a transformed version of Angra Mainyu. These two words mean decreasing Mainyu. Mainyu is from the same origin as the English word mind or the modern Persian word manish. Angra Mainyu is the reverse of Supanta Mainyu, or the increasing Mainyu. According to Zoroaster, a human being is free to choose between Angra Mainyu and Spanta Mainyu. This freedom involves commitment. Human being is not a little kid to be taken care by an adult supervisor and guided lest he or she is misled or go astray. An individual is responsible for his or her choice. By his or her choice, an individual accepts the outcome of the choice. On the other hand, evil is not absolute. According to Zarathustra, neither is good. Evil and good are both from human mind. Evil is the result of egocentricity. Yima, or Jamshid in Persian, son of Timurthan or Tahmures, the evil slayer, is from a good-natured ancestry who has lived a life of integrity and righteousness. Time happy with him, he with time, says Ferdowsi. When, however, the same virtuous man selfishly begins to become whimsical, heavenly spirit leaves him, and he is sawed into two pieces by Dhahak, as Ferdowsi tells us. The same Dhahak is from a virtuous lineage too, but being from a virtuous descent will not save us if we choose to oppose the way of Asha. The legend tells us how he is deceived by Ahriman to overthrow his father and throne himself as the king. Ahriman kisses him on the shoulders and lets two serpents grow over his shoulders. Feridun's victory over Dhahak is the victory of good over bad. With a mind knowingly set and committed to virtue, as Ferdowsi says, the benevolent Feridun was no angel, neither was he wrought from the fragrant musk or ambergris. Evil, according to Zarathustra, is not a heavenly will. It's a deliberate choice with pending commitment, as is good.
It is said that Emshah's pens are Zoroastrian archangels. Is it true?
Amshah's or eternal virtues are Mazda Ahura's qualities. The later Zoroastrians, who gradually had become unaware of Gothic concepts of Zoroaster's teachings due to language barriers, created the concept of 7 Amshahs from adding Mazda to the 6 heavenly attributes. Zoroaster's Gathas were originally composed in Old Persian and had verbally been handed over from generation to generation. Even the priests, Mubeds, who had incessantly preserved the Gathas, were unaware of the exact meaning of the words. Old Persian, from the family of Indo-European languages or the Iranic group, was a language of Achaemenid dynasty, and by the beginning of Parthian and Sassanid dynasties, it was already a forgotten language. The 6 attributes of Mazda are Vohu Mananga, or good thought, Asha Vahishta, or best righteousness, Kshatra, kingdom or mental power, Spanta Aremaiti, or holy right mind, meaning devotion, Vartata, or growth, and Amirtata, or immortal. Amshahs are not archangels or gods. The obscurity of Gothic language created misunderstanding. The Gatha's symbolic language has also contributed to the ambiguity.
What does Zarathustra think of life after death, or heaven and hell?
Zoroaster was a very intelligent person, and in his Gathas he proves this, and I do not think I need to prove it. Evidently, such an exceptionally intelligent man would not tell stories of things he has not seen himself. Thus, in Gathas, we do not hear about the world beyond or heaven and hell. Let us remind ourselves that Zoroaster lived in a period in which other tribes of ethnic groups in the regions like Greeks, Assyrians, and Egyptians tell stories about the underground worlds of death and darkness. Orpheus and Gilgamesh make a trip to the undiscovered world and come back. Zoroaster is not a storyteller. This sort of storytelling meant to amuse tribes, and he has nothing to do with them. In the Gathas, there are only a few short segments about Rausha Domana that Professor Farhang Mehr translates as the bright domain. Some Avesta experts have translated it as the house of music. Zoroaster uses it to signify a step where the followers of good religion reaches the light of wisdom. One may ask why then such words like heaven, Behesh, or paradise, Firdos, and hell, Duzakh, appear in the Persian etymology. No need to say these words are Persian words and cannot be related to the roots of other languages. The point is, however, that these words had different meanings originally. Heaven, Behesht, is derived from the Pahlavi word Vahishta, meaning best. Paradise or Firdos is a Middle Persian word, the same as the English equivalent meaning beautiful garden. Hell derives from Pahlavi, Dozhokh, meaning a place of the worst. The prefix Doj is a common prefix in modern Persian words like enemy, Doshman, insulting word Doshnam, or executioner, Doshkhim, literally one with worst manner. As we see, these words had some general shades of meaning. After Iranians were exposed to other religions and with the dispersion of their followers onto Iranian plateau, these words were selected to translate their ideas. During those days, and almost immediately after the defeat of Iranians from Muslim Arabs, a Pahlavi text was written that is of some significance from political and literary points. The text is written by a holy man named Viraf, commonly known as Arta Viraf Namek, the report of the righteous Viraf, and had such an influence on the Italian author Dante Alighieri that he wrote his trilogy called The Divine Comedy. The Italian novel is a visit by a Christian holy man to the world after death, and a dreadful and detailed report of the torture imposed upon sinners and evildoers. It must have created goosebumps on the audience of the Middle Ages. Viraf's report, that is titled as Arta or Arda, righteous, is more dreadful than Dante's. Dante must have written this novel based on Viraf's report. Dante does not specify the origin of his novel. Today, after we compare these two pieces, we find an immeasurable similarity between the two. Perhaps the Italian novelist heard about it from an old fellow who had traveled around the world, and that's why he does not credit Arda Viraf. We now know the fact that Iranians do not go into details on the topics of heaven or hell. And this shows us that these ideas about heaven and hell, in a sense we are using them today, have come through Semitic religions. Zarathustra's teachings have no place for these ideas and the way they are described in detail in those religions.